One last sip of water before we start. And the room is getting ready to start. Okay, so where are my entrepreneurs? Is everyone, my entrepreneurs ready? Let me see. Okay, great, the team. Okay, we are getting ready. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Cesar Zuluaga. I'm really happy to be here sharing with you in this beautiful marina this evening, today, June 26th, on our second Pitchit Durham. I am not from Durham, but I do feel like I'm from here now. I spend so much time in this area that for the last few months, for the last 6 months, I've been supporting together with Jeffrey and the rest of the team different activities in the region, and it motivated me to see the beauty of entrepreneurship, not just in Toronto, but everywhere around. So there are a spark of brilliance everywhere you see. And that's the reason that we want to be supportive this initiative in this beautiful region. Now, OPN started this July 1 year ago, and it's been a beautiful journey of supporting entrepreneurs, getting their business up and ready for pitching, which is something very difficult. A year and a half ago, I was running a startup. So after 13 years of corporate, I decided to move into entrepreneurship full time. And I did that jump with all my heart and all the good intentions and all the money that I had saved for that. And I actually failed. So, and it's not easy to talk about this, but at the same time, it's important because entrepreneurs are not only made of victories, but we also wear our failures as an honor badge. And now that I'm supporting this initiative, it means a lot more. The first person who believed on me, the first person who took that leap of faith for me was Jeffrey. He was my first investor. He was the person who actually said, I want to invest in you. When things didn't work out, I was actually sad to let him down, right? Because he trusted me, he backed me up together with Harwood and the rest. And it really meant a lot the moment that he said, well, that didn't work out, but why don't you come here and help me build OPN, right? So this is my second opportunity to entrepreneurship, and I'm really glad and happy, and thank you very much, Jeffrey. And on this long road, we met some wonderful people. For example, Frank. Where is Frank? one of our senior advisors and a wonderful person. Teresa, who is also been very supportive. Daniel, who, thanks to you, we have this beautiful place. The town of Whitby support us with this location today. And so many wonderful people. For example, Patrick, who is going to be a regional leader for Pitchit and OPN. And every one of you guys who come and join us on this amazing experience. So for now, I'm going to let Jeffrey introduce the panelists, and then we're going to give it to Patrick to control the room. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming here today. Okay.
Hey guys, thank you very much for coming out this evening. So one of the things that I wanted to share was, make sure the clicker's working. Oh, there we go. So one of the things that at OPN, what we've been doing is we're trying to create an environment for startups to be able to get out and pitch their business in front of a group of like-minded individuals, people that are in the business, are looking to maybe fund a startup, maybe be part of a startup, or just downright want to support them and help them with feedback and driving that forward. So at OPN, when we started this, it was all about giving back, and it all started with the name Open People Network, which was being open and being able to be a community and sharing. sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, sharing businesses, all of those things that kind of help each other grow and support. So one of the things that we kind of grouped around, which was we want to help you spend less time trying to find money and more time growing your business. So all these initiatives that we tie into Pitchit are all part of that. So tying angel groups in so that you can get in front of them to pitch for dollars, and the advisor groups helping and supporting that at the same time. So just to kind of draw back to, oh, she's moving quick. Just to draw back to some of the initiatives and things that we've been working on. We had our event on Friday night at City Hall, Toronto, and this is where we're hoping that we can do with Durham and all the other events, but we had about 300 people come to the event in Toronto, and it was quite, well, I guess awesome. It was kind of cool to see a lot of people coming in and engaging and having fun. One of the comments was that it was very easy to meet people and very open, and people were enjoying themselves, which is kind of crazy because when you go to a networking event where people say that it was easy to approach people and talk, so that was kind of fun, that the comment that came back. So we're now kind of, how do we keep that momentum going with all of the different meetups that we have? So here's some of the ones that are coming up, and some of them are being initialized by, in the New York region, by like Lucas Chang to Patrick and a bunch of different areas to moving across to Montreal and Vancouver. Some of the cool ones that we can throw out, they're all cool, but some of the ones that are more geared around startups is they will be doing something at Pitchit Fireside. So Fireside is a weekend for entrepreneurs, and we'll be hosting the event inside of Fireside, which is about 400 startups that will be, or 400 people that are attending, and we're going to be helping doing that, which is really kind of cool. And then there's another one that is going to be happening in Toronto. It's another event, and maybe it's not up there yet, but it'll be another sort of conference that's running that we're going to be running Pitchit inside of. So lots of opportunities for startups to get in front of lots of businesses, which is pretty cool. So outside that, I'll give you guys kind of the format of how this works. There's 11 minutes for each of the businesses to come up and pitch. At the end of the 11 minutes, the advisors, who I'm going to introduce you all to, they have 1 minute each to give you their feedback and criteria on what they think will help you as a business. As a startup, the great thing is this is the first time that you have to stop, pause, breathe, and listen for 4 minutes. There's 4 advisors, they each have a minute, and you don't get to say anything during that time other than nod your head and say thank you. The key to the reason, or the reason for this, is because it's critical feedback. We're here to help you. We want to make sure that you get that feedback. And then from there, we're going to go into 5 minutes of Q&A with the audience. So the audience can share questions. Again, same comments, questions on how to help that startup. So it's a fun little way for the startups to get a lot of great feedback. And of course, this is all filmed live, which is also going to be cut and sent out to the startups so they can look at their pitch, what they did, what they, all the feedback that they're not writing down notes, but they'll be able to get all of that feedback so they can figure out what they need to improve on. Also, while our team's working with them on the outside as well. So some of the advisors, and we just made some changes. So inside of the advisors, we're going to have Frank from Vitalize. So Frank's going to come up and give us about 30 seconds on who Frank is right now.
Hey, welcome to Durham. For the folks that are not from here, look around. Look how gorgeous Durham is. Great place to do business, great place to have a family. My name is Frank. While I do many things in the community as a volunteer, my greatest joy is Angels. And Malcolm, the executive director from Spark Angels, is here. And we made a great team, of course, getting money to entrepreneurs. And that's something that we enjoy today. And that gives me thrill. So I'm excited to hear the pitches. And who knows, maybe we can even write a check or two.
Awesome, thanks. Frank, you get to sit right here. Malcolm from Spark Angels.
All right, thank you. We're not writing a check tonight, but what we're interested in finding younger, earlier stage companies that we think would be suitable to write a check. And one of the things that we always want to do with the Pitchits is to save a spot open at each of our monthly meetings to have, quote unquote, the winner, whatever, come and make a presentation to us. We like to invest for the first round somewhere between 25 and 250. That's our comfort level. So that's the sort of thing that we look to do on a first pass, and I wish all of the presenters every success, and hopefully we can write you checks too.
Perfect, thank you. Sherry from Spark. You'll have to discount the...
I was going to say, and for those of you who know me, you'll know me as Sherry. Anyway, I'm the president and CEO of Spark, and I spend a lot of time with these two characters here. And so what I'm really excited about is entrepreneurism, of course. We're an incubator for tech and innovation entrepreneurs, and I'm hoping that some of these young presenters tonight will want some support, and we're here for you. That's it.
Awesome, thank you. And Teresa from BACD.
Hi, everybody. I'm the invisible bullet right underneath those three names. Teresa from the Business Advisory Center, Durham. So we work with mostly Main Street businesses to help them to get their business ready to market. We're passionate about our businesses hiring people here, starting here, and growing in Durham. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it. And again, thank you guys very much for coming. And we wouldn't be here today if we didn't thank all of our sponsors as well. So I think that from you guys may have noticed the water flow. They've been sponsoring us since day one, which is pretty cool that they've been providing water to all of our events. We have Durham College, Town of Whitby, Vitalize, Clear Vision, Spark, and Hard Boot as well. So I want to thank you guys for coming, and we're going to jump right into it. And I'm going to introduce you Patrick. Patrick's our man. He's the community man, and he's going to be leading all of this off and running us all through this. So everybody, this is Patrick from Clear Vision.
Thanks, Jeffrey. So all the stuff that he's already gone through was what I was supposed to go through. So now I've got nothing to do, I guess. Except for tell you why I wanted to participate in the Pitchit Nights in Durham region. I started my company in 2004. We do brand development and digital strategy for small, medium enterprise level businesses. And we've worked with a lot of startups that have come to us looking for support in order to grow their business, but not really have the opportunity to practice pitching what it is they do. There's pitch competitions, which are great. It gets businesses out in front in a high pressure cooker scenario, but not really any places where they can get feedback where nothing on the line. There's nothing on the line, right? Just put it out there, get proper feedback, and improve their pitch or pivot if they need to. So that's why I wanted to participate here. It's why I decided that Startup Durham region needed to exist as well. To get more cultural type events together and really support the startup entrepreneurs inside of Durham region. There's great advisory services. There's tons of support, but there's what the gap was the culture side of it. So hopefully we can fill a few of those holes. I guess we'll get things started. We're going to invite Pitchit up to give us their 11 minutes. Then there'll be 4 questions where you have to zip it and just take it, and then we'll open up the mic to the audience for 2 to 3 questions. We're going to cap that at 5 minutes, okay? So please welcome Pitchit.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you to Jeff and Caesar and everybody else who organized it. I just know those 2 names, but I'm sure there are many more behind the scenes. So Pitchit, yes, perfect. So my name is Matthew Carabella. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pitchit, and we're the app that puts a truck in your pocket. Gotta get close? I'll just go like this, it's fine. So you and me, we found ourselves in situations before where we've got to move something big and bulky, and we had no way to do it, or you had to go with some standard option. Either way, it wasn't fun. You had something big and bulky, and you didn't have the truck, the time, or the means to do it, and it wasn't a fun situation. So that's you and me. Maybe we experience this 2 or 3 times a year, but businesses experience it every day, whether it's getting things from warehouse to store, from store to store, or from store to customer, most importantly. It's not a fun experience to be in, and every day you're feeling one of these items or one of these feelings. So the current options, they aren't the best. I mean, you could, if you're into the do-it-yourselfers, you could go rent it yourself, U-Haul, or any other rental company. It's never the advertised price, and you don't know what the final fees are until you've driven there and back, filled it up with gas, and done all the calculations in your head. And you could also hire professional movers, but that's, a 3-hour minimum, 120 bucks an hour. It's not cheap. You could ask a friend for help, but you're dependent on their time and schedule, and usually you start to owe them favors, and tough situation to be in, especially once you've asked them 3 or 4 times. Alternatively, you can go on Kijiji or Craigslist and find someone. There's a lot of people out there who will come out, but you never know the price. There's not really much accountability, and the insurance question is always a big one on everyone's mind, especially if you're a business. So that's where we came in, and we came up with an idea that we decided to call Pitchit, which connects people and businesses with cargo vans, pickup trucks, and box truck drivers who can help you move large items painlessly, conveniently, and affordably, all through the app. It's a fairly simple process. You have to download the app, of course, but eventually we'll have it online, web-based browser, but right now you have a big item. You take a picture of it, you say when and where you want the driver to arrive, and give a little description. It's going upstairs. We give you a price immediately, and if you like it, you get the driver, and he comes at that time. Once the job is completed, and you can chat and call and track the driver while the job is being done, you each rate each other, and the app processes the payment. We've identified a large market in Toronto, $85 million for local small businesses, micro moves is what we call them, up to condos or 1-bedroom apartments, and other business transactions. In Vancouver, Montreal, and Ottawa, we've identified about 185 million, and then in the northeastern United States, there are no competitors in this field, and that's the market that we've identified as well, over $1 billion. Luckily, Pitchit is the first on-demand delivery player in the Canadian market. There are some friends of ours in the States, Lug, Dolly, and GoShare, who are doing quite well, but they're on the West Coast fighting it out. And quite frankly, our other competitors, they can't offer the breadth of services that we do, namely on-demand, labor included, convenience, tracking the job, and we also have our business suite and our API that we're developing right now. So a typical job across all 3 vehicles, pickup truck, cargo van, and box truck now, our average is about 8. It will go up as more and more businesses use cargo vans and box trucks. The pickup truck is remnants of our B2C play, which we've now pivoted to the B2B market. But of that, 82% goes to the driver, and Pitchit takes 18% for providing dispatch, tracking, fast ability to translate jobs for the drivers, as well as our business partnerships, which we consistently funnel jobs towards the drivers. So currently, as it stands, we make about $16 in profit from the average job. We currently have over 15 business partnerships now. I had a very fortunate week last week. We have furniture companies, stagers, realtors, some art galleries now, and we're also working on a pilot with Value Village. We have over 150 active drivers, 1,400 users in the GTA, and Pitchit Dash is our business suite, which we're developing right now. So our first go-to-market strategy, we figured this is a B2C play, this is an awesome idea. Everybody's going to get behind it. Sorry. Everybody's going to get behind it, and everybody was telling us, no, look, you're crazy, you don't have $1 million in funding. We're like, what are you talking about? Anyway, so we realized in March that these people were for the most part correct, and that you need the B2B to keep the daily jobs coming in. You and me will use it 2 or 3 times a year, but we need people who use it 10 to 15 times a month. So the past couple months, we've been really focusing on our business partners, and it's proved it's definitely returned dividends. So we currently generate our leads from online lists. We get them, we call them up. Inside sales, we find it's the fastest way to reach the most amount of people. You follow up with an in-person interview or in-person meeting, find out how you can integrate yourselves with them, find out how they need you. Are they going to push you onto the customer to organize, or do they want to organize it themselves? And once that's done, we try to get some advertising in their stores, and then the referrals happen, right? B to B to C, the consumers see us working in their stores, or they refer to us to other businesses. We currently have a 1 in 6 conversion rate. By focusing on our B2B partnerships and implementing our referral program and Pitchit Dash, we hope to really increase that conversion rate. We're looking for $250,000, sorry. We're looking for $250,000 for talent acquisitions, to implement some of the growth strategies we have in mind, to open up in new markets, as well as strategic partner integrations. And then we have a whole bunch of ideas that we can't wait to get off the ground, but we gotta kind of put the brakes on for now. As a CEO, I am supported by Mike Barch, who is the operations guy. He had the idea for Pitchit. He came up with it 6-7 years ago, but it was an offline version. It was him coordinating phone calls, and he kind of built up the direct delivery company until we had the epiphany October of 2015, like, let's put this online, let's get this out there. And so he runs the day-to-day operations with the drivers and all that. And Samir Begic is our CTO, who has 2 startups behind him, and he was developing the same thing. He came on as a late co-founder, shelved his project to join our team, and has helped us launch it and continue to develop going forward. We're also part of iCube's UTM, Halltech, and the DMZ, some campus-linked accelerators and RICs, and they provide excellent support as we grow and develop our business, as well as, you know, helping us make these critical decisions and point us in the right direction. So that's basically Pitchit. We're leveraging we're leveraging thousands of vehicles that are already on the road with empty cargo space to kind of disrupt the delivery and the direct delivery market. And while we're looking for funding, what really solves a lot of problems are increased revenue. So if anybody here is looking for or has heard of someone who struggles with delivery, or if you hear somebody talk about, I gotta go rent this truck, you know, let them know about Pitchit. For the most part, we come in under price, and you get help with it. So thank you very much.
All right, that's awesome. So we're going to start with advisor questions. I don't know who wants to tee it off, but good luck.
I think it's feedback more than questions.
Yeah, it's feedback, sorry.
Right. So the only thing I would say is make sure that you are not standing in front of your presentation, and to just rehearse it before, and don't rely on anybody else to have the equipment, right? Because you're asking for money, and I think you did a great presentation. The content in is good, but yeah, I think it was just a little distracting to be in and out of the presentation. So
I don't think you address the issue of how you're going to get people to trust you. Number one, you need to address that, and always try and think of what is the biggest impediment in an investor's mind. What's their biggest no, and address that up front. Now, one of the things I sort of jotted down was the fact that you're looking to do 1.375 million in the first year. So that works out to 235 trips per day, and I don't believe it. And so you've done nothing to convince me that that would be even remotely possible. And if you're looking for money, then you should always say under what terms and what your exit is, because I don't want to be invested in you forever. I'm not getting married.
So thank you, Malcolm. That you sort of stole my thunder. I was going to focus on the fact that I wasn't sure I know what you're going to do with the money, but I wasn't sure what you were giving for the money, which tells me about your valuation, and that's the stuff that I'm going to I think otherwise, though, you have a good solid pitch deck. Just a little tweaking here and there, and I think you can yeah, go to the big boys.
I echo some of the sentiments of my colleagues up here. The only thing I would say is I think you did a great job in the presenting. I agree I couldn't see some of the slides, but I think you did a great job of saying where you are and where you want to go. I'm not convinced, like Malcolm said, that you've explained it well enough of how you're going to get there. Even 1 in 6 conversion is quite a feast. I'm not a mathematician like Malcolm, but I was sort of trying to figure out the same amount of users you would need. And then also, I don't think 250K is enough for what you're trying to do, especially if you're trying to attract talent, because you've heard the term, and Malcolm uses it quite a bit, is it's as much as the jockey as it is the horse, right? And I see you got a pretty good team on there, but I think if you want some talent, especially on the sales side, you're going to probably need a little bit more coin. And I agree on the exit strategy. We don't want to be friends forever, and that goes to all the folks presenting. And as an investor, I don't want to be here for the long haul. I want to know how I'm going to get back and talk about an exit strategy, as Malcolm mentioned. Cool?
Thank you. Good? You good to swallow that? Right on. Any questions from anybody in the crowd? I'll bring you the mic, I guess.
My name is Rahim Lakhani. So great idea, great presentation. I come from the finance world, so and I've dabbled with sharing economy, if that is what it is here, right? Have you given some thought about how liability insurance, any particular inkling on how you're going to tackle that?
Yeah, so that was probably the most difficult thing about Pitchit. When we first came up with the idea, we looked into it immediately. And we were assured that this is insurable, and turns out that a couple months in, they realized that we were using independent contractors and ran away. However, we have managed to secure the first carrier liability insurance plan up to $100,000 per shipment in Canada of this type. So that's how we're able to approach businesses and offer them the, the liability. We take it over once we have the items in our hands. Yes. Yeah. And then the other aspect is the drivers themselves. So part of our background check for the drivers is to criminal background, driver abstract, if they have insurance, and just a general overview of the person's, how do you put it, outward presentation, to make sure they all have teeth and stuff like that. You're not going to get scared.
Personal branding.
Pardon?
Personal branding.
Yes, personal branding.
Any other questions? 3 mics.
Hi, I'm Melanie Warren. What happens if that person is not reliable and that has to be somewhere? Do you have a backup plan? What happens if the person doesn't show up or there's some kind of an issue and it's an on-demand, have to be there, drop-dead date? What are you going to do about that?
So we take every opportunity to ensure that we've met every, the requirements of the job. So our backup plan is myself, Mike, or one of our other interns hops into a U-Haul and runs out there as fast as possible. However, we would first contact our other drivers. The job goes back out on the marketplace, and if we can fill that 1 hour obligation for the pickup trucks, then the other driver will take it and show up. If not, we do have to go out there.
Okay, we have one more question.
Victor Padarat. Just a quick question with regards to geography. So, I mean, obviously there's short haul, long haul.
Yes.
I transport product from overseas here and then right across North America. So let's say someone like myself who wanted to use your service, what sort of distance can we expect that you guys are, because I mean, if you say someone doesn't show up, you jump in a U-Haul, you can't drive to Texas and come back.
No.
I mean, what are we talking about in terms of geography?
Currently limited to the Golden Horseshoe. And we don't, our terms of service state no job more than 150 kilometers. However, how many people read that? What usually ends up happening if somebody books a job to Ottawa from Toronto, it becomes more personal. We'll reach out to them being like, you do understand that our terms of service limit us to 150 kilometers, and there's usually no hard feelings on that front.
So does that mean that your 256 transactions to get to your valuation is within the Golden Horseshoe?
No, with the 250,000, we would look to expand to other markets. Yeah, we can't achieve that in Toronto alone, at least within 1 year.
Awesome. I'm going to break the rules a little bit. I'm going to ask a fourth question myself.
Okay.
So I'm going to come over here like I'm in the crowd. What happens when Uber enters this market?
Uber will not enter this market. They actually tried and gave it a little test run in Hong Kong. They were competing against GoGoVan and Lalamove, who were the main players who started this whole direct delivery market a couple years ago. And they closed up shop in a couple months, and it's not because they realize this market won't work. It's because they want to focus on taxis, on all the lawsuits and regulations that are coming up, as well as their autonomous vehicles.
All right then.
Great.
Okay, round of applause, please.
I guess. Thank you very much.
Just to follow on to your last point about Uber, if you should address why, because it goes through my mind, if Uber couldn't make it, so that's probably something you want to address in your presentation. I guess my bottom line is the more you can anticipate questions and address them to prevent them from coming up, the better you'll be.
Yes.
I'm horrible at filling time, so I'll just do this a little bit. I don't know who was up next. That's why it's dead end. Okay, here we go. So let's invite Tinted Blinds to come up and deliver their pitch. 11 minutes. Then we'll go into the advice from our advisors and then Q&A.
Hello, everyone. My name's Trevor Greenall. I am the owner of Tinted Blinds, Reflect, Protect, Privacy. What I'm asking you to do today is basically to tint differently about how you see through your home windows. As you can see in the environment that we're here right now, this is a business, an organization. It has a slight tint to the windows here today. But I bet none of you have thought about tinting your home windows. And for what purpose? What reason? Well, do you have your cars tinted? Raise your hand. Most of the time people do. Raise your hand if you wear glasses or sunglasses. Purpose, value, there's tint in them. All right, so what Tinted Blinds does is it helps you in understanding the heat reduction and reflection and glare. It controls that. So I love the summer months. I love the heat. I love the light coming in through our blinds. But unfortunately, that brings heat and that brings expenses. So why I started to look at tinting blinds, or actually tinting our windows, is because my son's room at nighttime was about 30 degrees heat. But the rest of the house was about a comfortable 23. And that's because he received direct sunlight from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. at night. So I thought there must be a different way that instead of closing the light in and not allowing the light to come in your house, how can we control that? Blackout blinds? Well, we lose the light. Closing our blinds? Not fun. Can't see out. Can't supervise. So I thought, well, could you tint your blinds? Fortunately enough, you can. Oh, sorry, tint your windows. So this is the first step before you actually pay thousands of dollars in purchasing new windows. All right, so this is for retrofitting. This is for basically not a Band-Aid option, a very valuable option instead of spending thousands of dollars. So what Tinted Blinds does is it provides high quality heat control, efficient solutions for protection and privacy. If you live in suburbia or even in an urban area, you'll notice that you can see in all of your neighbors' windows. If you live in a condo, same issues, same problems. These tints with mirrored different options provide that to you. So we have a large selection of designs, fast installation of films, as well as cost-effective technology overall. Main benefits is, again, the heat reduction. The control ranges between about 10% to 80% heat reduction. Again, controlling the heat, but allowing that light. Some other benefits: protecting expensive carpets, your hardwood flooring, expensive paintings. That UV 99% control or reflection assists with that as well. Decorative designs for your front windows, bathrooms, if you'd like to keep your blinds open as well. Some other benefits is, again, the solar heat, as you can see, reflects off the film. Radiant heat as well, or infrared, also reflects off the film. Now you'd also think, well, this is just very seasonal, but it isn't, because in fact it also circulates your warm air in the wintertime. So it prevents the cold air from touching your glass and the heat mixing. So in the left, we'll start there. That's just an average soft tint. You can see that the right side window is tinted, the left is not. We also have mirrored tints as well, again providing greater heat reflection and rejection, frosting, security films, So again, break-ins, anything like that, questionable windows in your home, as well as colored films. So a large variety, cater to different needs. So the market strategy is, as I was doing this research and I was trying to find somebody to professionally install tints, I couldn't find anybody. Special words that would key in online, couldn't find anybody. I did eventually find one person in Scarborough and another person in Brampton. But their company names, let alone, set me off and confused me in the sense that very industrial name. Tinted Blinds, however, is easier to understand to the consumer's needs. When you search online, what are you going to search for? Starting with blinds for home coverings, home window coverings. Some other just small scale, very lean strategies is just purchasing social media strategies. Just, again, word of mouth benefits. Nothing too extravagant to start with. This is a service-based. I'm not the creator of the tint, but I'm hitting a market that is untouched. Auto tinting, normal, common. Consumer business buildings, quite common. All right. Home buildings or homes, not yet. So currently, I've had 5 projects on the go. Here's some testimonials. I found it cooler within the hour. I was able to lower my AC by 3 degrees, which actually over the season, well, not this summer, but normally from April to August, that 3 degrees makes a huge difference in cost-effective savings over the summer months. My father, obviously, he likes to create different slogans. It's like putting sunglasses on your house. And it is. The nice thing is clients automatically see the difference. So they might not feel it immediately, but they see it. So again, benefit. And again, I hate closing my blinds, and now I can let the summer light in. So just some facts. Costs. Based on square footage, it's $1 to about $2 wholesale costs purchased from the installer directly to the wholesaler. Quoted costs range from about $6.50 to $20 a square foot. So again, it is like installing expensive hardwood floors in your house if you go to that level, but again, it has purpose, value, and technology applied to it. Labor costs and shipping are included. Again, other additional factors for installers to benefit from with growth, ladder work, moving furniture, so on and so forth. So overall profit ranges are around 60 to 70% profit margin. No carrying costs. So if this was to grow into different parties, there's no carrying costs. As soon as you deal with a client, it's purchased, it's delivered, you install it. Again, to scale, the summer months would cater quite nicely to professors in local institutions that wish to have a part-time job over the summertime if they wish, as well as students. Again, summer months, April to August, you can get those students involved. Again, that would require a fleet of vehicles, so on and so forth. Expenses go along with that, but that would be the scaling, is retrofitting existing homes. All right. I've also had an opportunity to converse with Madame Homes, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and looking at making this an upscale or upgrade purchase for new builds. Would you like your granite? Would you like your windows tinted? Again, interesting, small factor, but definitely beneficial. Competitors. Yes, auto shops could potentially hire people to do this. They could, but they're comfortable in their realm, in their specialty. Current buildings, large-scale companies, they want to cater to commercial, allow them to stay there. You benefit from commercial. Tinted blinds, different focus. Residential independent service providers, they lack the operational system currently, and so this would be something that I'd want to brand as tinted blinds over, let's say, a Solar Guard or a Luma Heat. There's a ton of different industrial names that don't fit the consumer market for residential properties. Commercial companies, sure, Home Depot or Lowe's. If you ever go and see their tints, you'll notice that they never have a clear tint. There's always a design to it. Designs limit the bubbling, limit the cracking, you can't see it as much. These are clear tints, beautifully, just like your expensive sunglasses that you may wear. So there are do-it-yourselfers, and yes, they could purchase it, but there won't be the warranty behind a professional installer doing it. This is Tinted Blinds.
All right, thank you very much. So we're going to flip it back to the advisors here, and we're going to mix it up a little bit. We'll let Malcolm go first on this one.
That's very interesting. But feedback with respect to your presentation, your slides are way too busy. You want to have 30-point font. You want to have like no more than 5 or 6 things. You want to use that as a crutch, but talk to the story. You're presenting the narrative, and you're losing me because I can't read it. You speak well. You're very presentable. You speak with confidence, and that generates a lot of credibility and feeling. So the one thing, and I don't know, are you looking for money?
I am not currently. No.
Okay. Well, you should. The other thing that I would say to you with respect to your presentation is consider something that's a really niche market as opposed to something residential. Like, right? Because it's a very specialized market. The people aren't price sensitive, and there's really a problem if you've ever been in a boat in the summer with respect to heat. So that's something to keep in mind.
Thank you. Teresa's next. Sure.
Great presentation. I echo Malcolm's thoughts where the presentation just needs to be a little cleaner. I have a question.
No questions. Jeffrey, can she ask a question?
Okay, I'll go back to when you present the idea, are you going to present some of the objections that people might have? So think about the objections that people could have about why they wouldn't put the tints in there and address those. Okay, thank you. Anybody?
Trevor, I agree with Malcolm and Teresa. There was way too many words. Images work better. I am a little confused. I was expecting to see blinds. I get the whole searching for blinds, but it's tinted windows, not tinted blinds. Just recently as an angel investor, we have had someone in the blind looking to get investment. I gotta tell you, it's been a tough haul because theirs is about putting the hardware away, where it's solar recharges, and it's about the new generation of putting, you know, very simple, quick on their condos. So, and they've been having a hard time getting funding. And then the other thing is your testimonials are just useless. It means nothing that your father cares, to be quite honest. What would have worked there is a nice quote from Mattamy Homes, who is a big builder. That's what impresses angel investors, that you have some momentum, that you have some customers. And sooner or later, you're gonna need money, right? So I would urge you to get rid of those testimonials and go with some guts. So Gary without a last name with a company means nothing. Fair? Okay.
Hi there. All right. So, Trevor, the thing that I would like to see in your presentation is some description of the size of the market and how you plan to penetrate that market, you know, vis-a-vis the other options that people have. So you need to have a very strong go-to-market strategy, and I want to know how big that market is. So if and when you're looking to raise money, you know, the investors are going to hone in on that right away. Tell me how big it is, how you're going to get there, what percentage. All right? Thank you.
Great feedback. Okay, we'll open this up to questions for Trevor.
Hey, Trevor, good job. My name's Lucas. So less of a question, more of a suggestion. Building on the points that the panel had, you're very well spoken, you know your business. Perhaps something to think about as you move ahead is what additional skill sets would augment what you bring to the table. So if you understand the operations, the mechanics of doing the install, so in the you understand the product, there might be someone who you, and if what you lack, I don't know, if what you lack is kind of the experience of approaching, you know, panels like this, it may be worthwhile looking at the skill sets that you need to move the business ahead and what you lack, because we all are missing something, and look at bringing on that skill set to help you.
Thanks, Lucas. Teresa is going to ask her question now.
So one of the objections that I could think of is if they curl over time from the heat and if they get scratched. And yeah.
So those are all possibilities. It really comes down to the installation of it. Ultimately, that's all serviced or taken care of under warranty. And that's the difference between purchasing from a commercial company as far as Home Depot or Lowe's. That would be the difference, is the quality. This is industry grade tint. So again, it has a easier adhesion to the window, and it has greater limitations where it wouldn't actually have the bubbling or cracking, and if it does, it's a lifetime warranty.
And one more question, is it private? Is it can you use them at night and not see through?
So thank you. There are options. So again, you do have mirrored tints. You do have other tints as well. But this is, again, letting only 35% light actually come through. But you can see the reflection on the ceiling where it actually does have a mirrored tint. So again, you do have options, and that's great because the actual keywords of reflect, protect, privacy are all important factors. It reflects the sun, it protects you from UV rays, 99%, and again, it provides that privacy. So there's a versatility of options, and that's why it's basically onto the client's needs of effective solutions.
Hi, so following the comments from the panel members, I absolutely agree with a lot of them. On the other hand, I don't agree with one statement that this is very unique product, because actually I think that you could differentiate the capabilities of screens and apply it to almost everybody. And here my social part of my brain kicks in when there are a lot of people who cannot afford air conditioning and would massively benefit from this. So maybe certain part of the product on a grand scale with proper affordable pricing, and then something different for upscale houses. So this is first thing. Second thing, when I traveled to China quite a bit, and over the last few years I've seen something which really caught my attention, which they call magic window, which is some kind of electromagnetic thing which actually by the switch turns window through see-through to completely blocked. You can see through it still, but nobody from outside can see. And it's amazing technology. I've never seen it in North America, but if you are in tinted blinds, probably something to check out, because this could be much bigger than tinted blinds if you find the source of it.
Okay.
Otherwise, good presentation.
Great, thank you. I'd like to speak to Frank's comment in regards to tinted blinds. The strategy behind that was searchable. It still has the capability of blinds. And to be honest, having the customer confusion provides a little bit of question mark and mystery to it. So when you're searching online and you're Googling tinted blinds, and you're searching all of these common, normal blind situations or options, we're daytime privacy. Not nighttime, not anything like that. We provide daytime protection privacy. So I like the fact that it creates that customer confusion a little bit, providing some mystery.
Any other questions?
How you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
This is kind of my world, architecture and design, and I'm thinking that you need the Mattamy Homes of the world, you need the Brookfield Homes of the world, you need to do a deal with Home Depot, to sell it through Home Depot. You need economies of scale with this. To go out and do this to Mrs. Jones' house and Mr. Smith's house, it's going to be torturous. So that's just an observation more than anything else. The more volume you can get going through, the more money you'll have to train proper people, because I'm thinking the labor is going to kind of be transient like roofers. I may be all wet on that, but that's just my sense. But otherwise, I enjoyed your presentation. Thanks so much.
It's basically just getting a different idea across, a different perception in how you see your windows and how they can be benefiting you during the daytime, and not just being clear glass, allowing that heat in, allow the light. But to speak to selling it and going through larger companies, the challenge is though it looks simple on just applying plastic to a window, there are a lot of different factors where there could be an online advisor that before I purchase at a different company, store, Home Depot, Lowe's, what's the appropriate tint for my home? If you have single pane, double pane, laminated, different factors to those windows, your window could shatter. And so the Home Depot plastics that are currently there are just a one size thick, easy to install plastic. But these are just, that would be my concern, is the right advice or the right individual to sell the product for the appropriateness of the window. So those would be some challenges that I'd have to look at and consider.
Thank you. A comment and then a question and then a comment.
Yes.
I'm one of those people that went to Home Depot and bought the film for my park model trailer that faced west.
Yes.
And bugger to install, awful, they curl, I've taped them down, it's awful. And they're mirrored, which is great, so great privacy in the daytime, but the inverse at nighttime, you can see in everything. Has that been addressed in your model? I mean, we have to close all the blinds as soon as it gets dusk, because then they go from being mirrored to being see-through. So that's one comment. My other comment is, this might be for future business an awesome retrofit for older condominiums. You pitch to the board and you get economies of scale in those condominiums that are looking for reduction in economy for air conditioning and heating and everything else.
So to speak with it's not an either or solution. It is daytime filtering of light. It's reflecting the heat. That's major focus and direction. It's not protecting the privacy because it has nothing to reflect against in the night. So it is not either or. It's either tint or blinds. It's 100% tint, and then pretty it up with whatever type of blinds or curtains you'd like. So, but that is a factor, and sometimes people think, do I just choose one or the other? It's a daytime protection. Yes. Last one. Oh, sorry,
protecting your solution compared?
So that's not something that I would be dealing with. This was actually created in Australia, then developed and manufactured in the US, wholesale out of the GTA. So I haven't, again, developed this product. I'm expanding something that's already developed, has quality, has credibility behind it, but applying it to a market that has not been thought of or touched before.
Okay, and second question, in the winter, you're saying it blocks out the solar heat. How do you deal with that problem when it's cold in your house to keep the heat in the daytime?
You're not relying on the heat or the sun for wintertime heat, right? So in the wintertime, it's cold. You can have a frigid day and it be extremely sunny outside. You're relying on the heat inside your internal house, and it acts almost like a barrier from the cold. So it recycles and hits itself instead of actually absorbing and having that cold feeling from the window.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we've got one more question, and then because we're way over.
I said one, but I mean two. Are you following like the college pro painter's business model?
Yes.
Okay, and why are you not looking for money?
Because this is a side hustle right now. This is something that I've just come across of my own personal needs. I was quoted a price to do my house after I spent weeks upon months to find somebody to actually do it. The quote was so high that I decided to go and see if I could get it supplied. The companies that supply me only sell to installers. I asked how much is the training. It was the exact same amount as the quote. I said, thank you, I'll get trained, I'll start my own business, I'll do my own house for the same price. So I started a business, paying the same amount, than having somebody do it.
So you're in business right now?
I am.
Do you have a card?
I'm at week one. I have not even had that. It was on the presentation, but it's on its way in the mail, sir.
Listen, I'm going to jump onto what he said. Why don't you share that? Why don't you share the personal side? Why don't you share why you did this? It's very important, right? So when you're ready, I'd be happy to make an introduction to about 40, 50 builders where you can get some real quotes. But when you're ready.
That's exactly it. Yep.
And we don't want to hear as investors that you're also doing this part-time. You know, so sooner or later, you're going to have to ride one horse.
This is an honest forum right now, right? We're open people, so that is the honesty. Yeah.
Good. Okay, thanks, Trevor. All right, I got the mic back. Okay, so we're going to welcome up Ivory Digital Denture to deliver their 11 minutes. I had the pleasure of meeting Shlomo about 4 weeks ago, so I have a little bit of insights. Great business model, really, really interesting concept. Looking forward to hearing the pitch.
1, 2, 3, 1. Is this good? 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shlomo Scherer. I've already met some of you, and I see there's a nice little intimate group, so if it's okay with you, let's just have a conversation. I've been a denturist for the last 20 years. Before that, I was a research scientist with a master's degree from the University of Toronto, and have come up with a way of doing dentures in a whole new way. This evening, I'd like to talk to you about dentures. Okay, the objectives for this evening is to understand the denture experience for both patients and denturists. I would like to tell you about a new and exciting way of making dentures and demonstrate the value proposition for the patient and the denturist. So some of you would recognize the gentleman on the screen. That happens to be George Washington. And this is about 1776. And what you see beside him is his denture. There's a common belief that his denture was made of wood. In fact, this one has a base of leather, and the teeth are actually whittled down from the teeth of a hippopotamus. You see how hideous he looks when he smiles, and how miserable he is when he's not. And the common story is that he was miserable most of the time because those teeth were god uncomfortable. And he had a gentleman who actually worked with him for years and years to alter that denture. So in the year 1776, this was a revolutionary idea, which actually is fitting considering that George Washington was in fact a revolutionary. And nothing in denture treatment changed from that until the 1920s. That's 150 years. But just about then, with the end of World War I, there's been a great deal of developments in material science and fabrication techniques, and that's when the modern age of dentures began. So today, that's 100 years later, nothing has really changed in making dentures. The materials have improved incrementally, so have the processes, but there was never a definitive moment where one can say the world of dentures has improved. So today, dentures require about 4 to 6 appointments, 3 to 5 weeks. They're labor intensive. The materials we use are really quite hazardous, carcinogenic in fact. And we move materials from the clinic to the lab quite often. Oh, can I be heard? Yeah? Okay. We move materials from the clinic to the lab back and forth multiple times. So you might say, why do we care about this? What's in it for us? Well, what are you presenting here? We don't have dentures, most of us don't at least, and those who do are masking the fact. So I'll tell you why it's important for you. So just a little while ago, as far back as 250,000 years, you'd be born. If you're lucky enough to reach your adulthood in your teenage years, you'd be ready to reproduce. By then, your primary teeth would be gone. You're on to the permanent teeth. You would reproduce and move on to your 20s, carrying your infants with you. By the mid-20s, your permanent teeth would be rotting away, and you'd be slowing down, and now you're quite prepped to become someone's meal. And now it's time for you to move off the earth and make room for more creatures to take your place. Today, moving forward 250,000 years, we live to our 70s and our 80s. And so we need our teeth to last 50 or 60 years, where their design spec was actually about 10 to 15. So we're requiring them to last 500% their design specs. And that's just not going to happen. So your options are very simple. You can keep your teeth forever. All you need to do is expire early. But that's not much of an option, is it? And so one way or another, you're going to end up in my chair. So what are we doing today? Today, there's 178 million people in the industrial world who are missing most or all of their teeth. This is reported by the World Health Organization that recognizes edentulessness is a primary medical hazard, medical problem. There are 12 million individuals in the United States and Canada alone who receive denture treatments on an annual basis. The average is about $2,000. The overall market globally in the industrial world alone is $100 billion. So while dentures is not a terribly sexy topic, that number certainly is. So what have we come up with? I came up with a system that uses 3D scanning, 3D computer modeling and 3D printing to create dentures in a much faster timeline. To do this, we have a team of clinicians, we have a team of programmers. We've put together engineers and marketing specialists and others who have come together to do this. And I am yours truly, the CEO and innovator of this program. We have decided to set our goals in the following: a turnkey system that combines both hardware and software that allows a denturist to make multiple dentures in a day, whereas it normally takes several weeks, to allow the patient to control the process and result in a much better patient experience, in a much better fitting denture, and aesthetically pleasing to the patient. So what we have resulted in is a process that requires a single appointment of a couple of hours in length. There's no materials that leave the clinic. The impressions are taken in the operatory. They're scanned and destroyed, so nothing leaves the room. The lab, which is presently a place where there's many, many cases sharing space, is no longer a place where there's biological materials. The print is clean and it's quiet. There's no fumes, there's no nauseous materials. It takes a couple of hours in a 3D printer. We post-process it, clean it up, bring it back to the operatory, insert in the patient's mouth, get paid, and we go home. The process is, now, how do we do this? Scan, design, build. I will apologize. The scanner that you're seeing was a prototype, which we have carried all the way to actually 2 weeks ago. Since then, we've had a focus group of denturists who looked at that one and also looked at our portable hand scanner. Overwhelmingly, they elected to push for the hand scanner as a way to go, and we have abandoned our development of this fixed scanner, which is really quite cumbersome. We scan a patient's face with a hand scanner. It takes about 60 seconds while the patient is wearing, has an impression in the mouth. You're looking at a pair of impressions, upper and lower. On the impression tray, we fix a small device that allows a scanner to triangulate the position of the impression inside the mouth. Impressions we design on a computer. You're looking at yours truly right there. Yes, I could have found a much better looking model, but that guy seems to always be around and he works cheap. So, as you see, we pick several points around the eyes and nose, and those reference points allow us to develop on screen a set of planes. So basically, we map the head. We find the center plane, that's the mid-sagittal plane, and a coronal plane that cross parallel with the eyes. We take the scans of the head and the jaws, as you've seen them before, and there they are. We map the gums, as you see before you, and we select appropriate teeth from a tooth library. Once we do that, the teeth populate the gums automatically in a matter of seconds. So this process normally takes hours in the lab, but it takes seconds for the computer to do a much better, more consistent job. And the beauty of this is like the coup de grace. While we see in one screen the model with the teeth on it, the patient sitting next to me can see the face with the teeth in position. So the patient can dictate to me where they want their own teeth. That's something we cannot provide at the moment with our existing technology. But the patient is in position to say, raise them, lower them, push them in, push them out. We don't like this color, change the color. Can you make me a little space here or there? And I'm happy to comply because it takes me a whole of 2 minutes. The patient then owns the process. They developed it. I'm just their lackey technician, but they are responsible for these choices, and so the outcome is theirs, and compliance and then acceptance is much higher. So you see the teeth are actually too high here, but that's because it was done by my programmer who knows nothing about anatomy. Oops, why are we there again? I'm not sure. Okay. Once we have positioned the teeth, we build the base by drawing it onto the model. And finally, the patient says, I love this, finish this, but wait. I want my wife to see this, because after all, it needs to make her happy. So can we make another appointment for me to come in? And the answer is, I think not. Where's your wife? She's home. Does she have a computer? Of course she does. She's on Facebook half the day. Well, let's get her on the computer and let her dial in. And she dials in a minute later. She sees what we see. Says, honey, this is great. You can go ahead. And we press a button and a 3D printer prints quietly without making any noise or fumes. There's no light show. Often, one of my colleagues would stand there saying, something's wrong with this. It's not doing anything. So, dude, come back in an hour. The denture just comes out of a vat of liquid, just like the Terminator, if someone remembers the movie. We clean it up, we wash it, we insert it in the mouth, and we are done. So the value proposition for denturists is, we start at them on Monday, we finish on Monday. You get paid on Monday. For the patient, it's equally wonderful. You come in, you get this job done in a couple of hours. There's no 6 or 7 visits. There is no coming back and parking and coming again and again. And they get to control the process. This is beautiful. So my patients now who see only the documents in the office, they love this. My daughter's art teacher says to me, I need to bring my mother in. I said, please, bring her in. But you don't understand. She's 185 pounds and she's an invalid. Have you any idea what it is to put her in a car, take her out? And it'll be 5, 6, 7 times? Yeah. So why don't you wait until we can do this in half a day? She said, what do you mean? So you remember, you did art for me for this. So, oh yeah, the digital denture thing. So yeah, the digital denture thing. You come in the morning and you go home with a denture by mid-afternoon. I love you, she says to me. So this is the kind of reaction I get from patients. Another little story. I get very often, a patient says to me, dog ate my dentures. I'm going to kill that dog, but I have a wedding to go to next week. So now if that happens, dude, you're out of luck. But with this is not a problem. Come on in. We'll reprint your denture. You'll be ready the moment you come in here. I get a call from a woman on a cruise, and she says to me, I have a problem. It was a rough seas, and I drank too much. Denture went overboard. I said, and what would you have me do? Would you like me to fly in with my cape and just dive through a helicopter and make you a denture? She says, I don't know what to do. So, well, you have to hide in your room. But now, the question is, where are you going to be tomorrow? So I'm going to be in Cancun. So great, call me in 10 minutes. She calls me in 10 minutes. You have an appointment with Dr. Rodriguez. This is the address. It's at 11 o'clock. Please don't be late. And he has your dentures for you. So this, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, is Ivory Digital Denture in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shlomo. So we're going to flip it over to our advisors to give their feedback, and then we'll open up the floor for questions.
Thank you. So first I have to be quite honest. I think you went way into the weeds with the stories. I haven't heard about how you're going to get the customers. I haven't heard about any marketing. It took until the last slide to share the team. I went on your website and I saw 5 images that pretty much cleared it up for me what you do. I wish they would have used these images. There's also a little video there. Maybe you want to use that video. I think it was a lot of time on the process. I think at the same time though, when you're talking about the process, maybe you want to spend that when you're talking to the customer, but I'm not a dentist, right? That's your customer. Fair? So I would not talk to the customer. If this is about angel investing and you're looking for that investment, I don't even know how much you're looking for investment, or if you are, then I didn't get that. It felt like you were talking to sell the product as a doctor. If that's the case, called Patient News. As you probably know, they reach thousands of dentists. That's their business. They have a newsletter that goes out to all the dentists. This is about the 3rd one that I've seen pitch in the last 6 months in the dental area. So there's something there. But I would ask you to talk to the angel as opposed to the customer.
Yes, I would agree with Frank. Your presentation needs to be cleaned up a little. And I think what I would do is address the competition that's in the market too, so that people see why it's important to have dentures. Because today you can have dental implants and you can have veneers, you can have all those kinds of things. So addressing why this is so different is really important.
Are you looking for money?
Are you offering? I've had some investors offer. I got to be honest, I am good to go to market within the next 60 days. But if I have interesting offers, I'm absolutely open to listening.
Sorry, it was feedback. I echo the share. I mean, the whole evolution of man thing, you can get rid of that. I think I understand that. Same with the aging story. I can get, I get the fact that people grow old and they reproduce and yada yada. Okay, I would get to the meat of the matter in terms of one of the things you need to address. Question I would have is with respect to, do you have IP?
Yes, absolutely. It's been filed for patent.
You should say that right up front.
I got to make notes of this.
Yeah, what I'm not really clear on, I think, is whether or not you were asking for money. If you're asking for money, you need to be really specific. How much? What does it get your investor in terms of equity in your company? I would echo Frank. If you have IP on this, absolutely, that should be a
primary.
Did I say Frank? I did.
Got
Sorry,
it.
Malcolm. You should make sure that you make a note of that. And just in terms of your presentation, there are some pretty standardized sort of pitch decks that are out there. I'm sure any of us could lead you to them. Definitely look at the format. It's pretty tight and clean. I think some of what you talk about is great. The stories are great. It's good to personalize. Just keep them shorter and get more to the meat.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we got some questions, a few hands up. We'll let them go first. I'm sure the advisors have more questions too, and if they want to fill some more time, we'll let them, maybe. If I want to give up my mic again, go ahead.
Hi, I'm just a bit confused about your business model. Are you selling these printers and the softwares to dentist offices?
No. So actually, as a denturist, I have access to pretty much every denturist in the country. There's about 2,000 of us, and yes, that's a low number. But the idea here, because it's a very expensive system, it's about $100,000, we are actually arranged with a leasing partner to provide a leasing facility to the buyers. And just that you're wondering, in fact, that I failed to mention the market, but we've tested the market, and it becomes quite evident that where there's a denturist that has a system, it compels every other denturist within a drive to buy the system. It's close to impossible for any of us to compete with someone else who could produce a set of dentures in half a day. So this thing will sell itself. I have no doubt of that. But yes, $100,000 is a big number, and so what we've done is we've reduced it to a $2,000 per month for a 4-year lease, and $2,000, as you notice, is the cost of a set of dentures, and that makes it a very easy sell. Thank you.
Yeah, so sorry, you were talking at the beginning about revolutionizing the denture. So is it the material that the denture is made out of that is revolutionary, or the way you make it to market? Because to me, it feels that it's the way it's make it to market instead of the denture itself.
Sorry, I'm not understanding the question.
I'm asking what type of material? Is it the same type of material as the previous traditional like dentures, or is it a new type that can fit into the 3D printer?
No, the material we use now is acrylic. And if you know anything about the materials, it's a mix of monomer and polymer mixed together. Similar materials are used in various industries. And in a liquid form, that thing is incredibly toxic. That's what we have now. So the Ministry of Labor has actually had its eye on us for a long, long time, but it's impotent to do anything as of now, because the alternative is to have no dentures anywhere. That's not something that's possible. Now that this is available, and it is a very different material, these are light curable resins. They are the ones that work in these kind of printers. They will, without a doubt, start pouncing on the use of monomer in dental and denture clinics, because again, it's highly carcinogenic. Whereas the resin is contained, and there's no fumes, and it's a very clean, safe process. Yes, the material is quite different, but the outcome is pretty much the same. It's a denture. At the end of the day, a denture is a denture.
So,
go ahead.
Excellent. So just a quick follow-up to that, because I was interested in the materials. Is there any testing with respect to the longevity of the materials that are new, the resins, versus the old material that was used before or people still use today? And then I have a follow-up question to that.
So the longevity is based on a 5-year span, and not because of the material. Nobody actually worries about the material. The fit changes because the person changes. It's like having the same sweater that you had or same shirt you had 5 years ago, but it's a much more intimate fit. So the rule of thumb is, and that's how insurance companies pay for dentures, is on a 5-year renewal. And that's what it needs to suffice. So the old materials made that and then some, and so are the new materials. And these new materials, by the way, they're approved in Canada only recently. They've been in use in Europe for some years.
Okay, perfect. And with the IP, is that on the machine, the scanner, the process, and is it Canada, North America, EU, global? What's the IP look like?
It's every country under the Paris Agreement, so it's pretty much global, and the IP is process and some of its components.
Okay, so the process that you use, so someone else could use a 3D printer and come up with their own process that circumvents your IP, is that correct?
You can have a printer, you can print anything you want, but for you to actually do everything you need to produce a set of dentures, firstly, it can only be used by dentists and denturists, because it's a regulated act. But other than that, not anyone can do the A to Z of making a denture. You can't just walk in here and create a denture, and if you tried, you'd fail, most certainly. The process requires quite a few steps, and as a whole, the IP applies, and for some, again, for some of the components.
Okay. We got time for one more question.
Thank you. It was a very interesting presentation. I've got two questions, actually. One is, where is the field of dentures going, or the market for dentures going? Is it increasing or decreasing? One of the first things you said is some 100 million people in the world are missing a tooth. But they don't get dentures for missing a tooth. How many people are still getting their whole mouth replaced?
So it's 178 million people in the industrial world. And again, that's a number from WHO. That's not my number. And when I say missing, all of their teeth and at least one of their ridges. Okay, so it's not a tooth. As for the questions you posed before, implants cost about $2,000 per, where dentures are $2,000 per set of dentures. So dentures are overwhelmingly the treatment of choice now and for years to come. I have no doubt that 15, 20 years from now, better alternatives will come about, but not for the next 10 to 15 years. And that number is actually increasing for a couple of reasons. Lifespan is increasing faster, and the developing world is actually catching up in terms of middle-class wealth. And so these people who up to now have been walking around with no teeth are now getting into a position where they can most certainly afford dentures.
Okay, thanks. And I think that's important to talk about whether the market's growing or not, or where it's going, really. Can I ask another question?
Sure. You have the mic. I can't take it from you. Caesar can, though.
Okay. Or maybe this is just a comment, because what's been coming out in the discussion is it sounds to me like there's an awful lot of value in both the material as well as the technique. And I think that potential investors, would be very interested in hearing about what is proprietary. And one of the things I'm curious about is the actual scanning process. Is it all optical, or are you using radiation?
It's optical. It's a common question. It's entirely optical, and for the face, we don't need high resolution. It just needs to be clear representation of the face. For the impressions, we need a much better resolution, and we have it. The material I do not own. Yes, we will develop our own materials. Why? Because I'd like to control the entire process A to Z, but at the moment we use proprietary materials of others. In terms of the IP, I will elaborate that some of the components, especially the component that allows us to triangulate the position of the maxilla and the mandible and actually visualize them through your face, that's entirely protected. And then again, the whole process as a system is protected. So I have no doubt that others are going to attempt to take what is mine. That is coming. Some of the companies out there, they're going to get really desperate because this actually puts out of business pretty much every dental lab. The process of dental labs actually losing has already begun years ago, and they're under a lot of pressure, competitive pressure, but this will put the final nail in their coffin. So desperation will lead to people trying to get into my business, and then we'll cross that road when we get to it.
That's what I was asking, because I actually have a patent attorney that I work with. There's a lot of things that we can patent. There's things that we can't patent, and especially with polymer resins, if they're not exclusive to you, you didn't create them or design them, they're not patentable. 3D printers have been on the market for ages. That's not patentable. The scanner technology is interesting, like you talked about, being able to once again, I'm not a denturist, but being able to scan accurately the axes at the top and the bottom. And is that something that you would consider licensing at some point if you do end up getting, because it's patent pending, correct? You don't actually have a patent. Okay.
So just to be clear, I have patent lawyers too, and they're actually really good. But at the end, what is really clear and has been clear to me for years is the patents are only moderately effective. What has always been the dominant issue is who gets the market first and who holds the market by the shorts. And so I expect that we're going to have the Canadian insurance market no further beyond the end of 2018. Again, there's only 2,000 dentures in the country, and all 2,000 are going to, if they wish to practice, will have to do this in order to do so.
Okay, thanks, Shlomo. We've got one more question from Malcolm, and then that's no more questions.
I don't want to take up the time just now, but you mentioned that there's 2,000 denturists in Canada, and I'm guessing there's 25,000 in the US. But I would like to learn more about your go-to-market strategy, and particularly, as you said, it is kind of sticky in the sense that first to market, first in is going to be there. And so I'm surprised you wouldn't need money to be able to get that done as quickly as possible.
As it happens, I can buy firstly, I owned a very large dental office until 2 years ago, and I sold it primarily so I can do this and concentrate on it. So I've come into a good windfall, which has financed this program. I'm well over the $500,000 mark. I have no doubt before I see money back, I'll be closer to $1 million, and that's quite okay. But in terms of all the equipment, we buy as we need. So I need to buy 5 units at a time in a week. It's not a substantial overlay. And I have staff, salespeople, the marketing director, who's excellent, by the way. He has excellent history in marketing. I think we're commonly friends with him. And that gentleman has been absolutely instrumental in pushing me to the right direction. So the overlay for an ongoing basis is actually relatively small, all things considered, and the revenues and the margin is really quite significant. I have some executive summaries over there I'm happy to share, but the margin is substantial. And there is no competition. And again, by the time competition comes about, I expect to have all the toys in the playground.
Okay, thanks, Shlomo. Let's hear it for Ivory Digital Denture. We'll take like 2 minutes if anybody needs to use the washroom.
Yeah, so while we prepare for the next presenter, I want to let you guys know that we are live broadcasting this, and you could follow up and watch the presentations on Facebook at All People Network or Instagram. thing. So we have a tradition in Open People Network that is we like to take a picture of the whole room. So once we finish this presentation, I'd like to have everyone come into the front, and we're gonna have a group picture. So that's gonna be the ending of it. Okay, so now I'll have everyone sitting back. Let's finish the last presentation so we could all network. Okay.
Okay, thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for being here. My name is Marie Velichowski. Over there is Michael Fernandez. We are the founders of Vama Product Innovation. We're a product design company, and we designed a product. It arose out of necessity in our home. We're a family of 3. We have a daughter who is 10 years old, and our problem is charging. We have a whole bunch of devices, cell phones, tablets, toys, all this kind of stuff, but we have a limited amount of sockets, a limited amount of counter space. It's a mess, kind of like the pictures. According to research from Gartner Inc., by the end of 2018, the average consumer will have 4 gadgets they use every day. That's a lot of gadgets in your home, in your office. So we devised a solution to this. It is DocMe. We call it DocMe. It is a multi-level, multi-port charging tower. So you can charge a dozen devices all in one space, all at the same time, really fast. These first 3 top shelves, they're the charging shelves. They have wireless charging built into them. On the side, you guys can see there are ports, USB Type A, Type C as well. They are fast charging. We're using Qualcomm Smart Charging 3.0 and 2.0. At the bottom, there is a socket, so you could charge your laptop there or just put it away to reclaim the space of your countertops in your house and just be organized. So what we're offering is for individuals like families, offices, people with several chargeable devices with a limited amount of space. We're offering a tower that centralizes charging, making it easy to find your devices, provides lots of room to do it nice and efficiently, and it charges them fast. In terms of competition, after speaking to consumers, our biggest competitor is the Power Bar. It is cheap, it has about 5 or 6 sockets, but you know what? It's bulky, it's disorganized looking, and it takes your counter space and your floor space. People are very frustrated with those. In terms of other devices that have a few more ports, maybe 3 to 5 ports like your Belkin or your Samsung, whatever you find at Best Buy, those guys are slow. They're 1 amp, maybe 2 amps at most. Again, they're taking counter space. We have found one more company that has a product, it's mainly commercially driven, and that's many hundreds of dollars, and again, it's slow. There's no wireless in it. So DocMe clearly fills in a gap in the market that exists right now. And how do we know this? Sales. People are willing to buy it. We've run 2 Kickstarter campaigns. One was in December. It was very badly last-minute run on December 21st, and yet we've managed to raise $10,000 in about 2 weeks. We had a huge funding goal of about $500,000 because we had a higher minimum order. So we canceled that, and now we've also relaunched. So we're still running. If you want to take a look at that campaign later on, take a look. Please buy one if you need one. So now we have lowered the minimum order, and that's why the unit price has gone up. People are still buying. Some of those people from the first campaign have transferred to our second campaign, and we still have more. So we've been able to raise about $16,000 in about 30 days. 10 to 12,000 the first 3 days, and the rest been trickling in. So people are willing to buy. In terms of customer acquisition, we're focusing on e-commerce. Kickstarter and Indiegogo ideally for raising the money to manufacture, but other platforms such as Touch of Modern, Ivanzi, and Tabcoin, they have approached us. They have their own marketing, their own promotion. All we have to do is send them the product, they want to push it and sell it on their websites. We can also sell on our own websites. On Amazon, Shopify, Wish, Fab.com. We're open to that. Retailers here in the GTA, we have Iconic Furniture. He's in Mississauga. He loves the product, wants to sell it, wants for manufacturing. We also have partners who have other connections with retailers, so we're just waiting to produce. In terms of our team, our inventor there, Michael Fernandez, He's head of manufacturing and development. He's had a motorcycle modification company, so he has the skills to do this. He actually built our first prototypes. That was very convenient. I'm head of operations and marketing. I'm also affiliated with the York Innovation Accelerator Program. So they're helping us build and grow the company. I also have experience running MLMs in business. Rodney Cohen, he's our designer. And he loves the product, and he's waiting to expose it to Costco and Best Buy once we start the manufacturing. We're also just about to bring on board Hitesh Palan. He's about to take time off work. He loves the product. He wants to sell and approach offices. In terms of production, so if we hit our funding goal for the first year, we plan basically to break even. There's a large cost with the manufacturing, with the one-time initial costs for molds and certification. So that means by year 2 and 3, there's guaranteed income because those costs for certification, the molds, they're no longer there. Also, the unit price will be going down as we order more. So what are we asking for? If you have experience marketing to this customer segment, to these families, to these offices, we'd love your help. Come and talk to us. If there are any sales leaders who as well know how to target this customer segment, we'd love to talk to you. Logistics partners, perhaps Pitchit. If you have competitive pricing, we'd love to talk to you. If you're an investor or if you're a venture capitalist, we are seeking funding of $250,000 for a 10% share in the company and are projecting a return by year 3. So the first $150,000 will be used towards the minimum order of 1,000 units. And that includes the certification, that includes the molds, which is a one-time price, and that includes shipping and a small amount of marketing. In terms of the burn rate, right now, if we're not in Kickstarter mode, the burn rate's not too high, but a projected burn rate about $2,000 to $3,000 for the marketing, for the sales. In total, we're looking at a population mainly of the US because their dollar is stronger than ours as our main consumer base. They are the ones who are purchasing on Kickstarter. It's clearly the US. So in terms of their population, they're 325 million individuals. 92% of them own smartphones. 73% of them own a laptop. 50% of them own tablets and toys for children and wearables. The sales of that are just going up every single year, according to Forbes.com. So there is a market, there is a need, people are willing to pay for it. There's no doubt that the future is digital, and our DocMe charging tower is ready to power it up. Thank you.
All right, great presentation. Flip this around to our advisors. Who wants the mic? Sherry, you want it? You haven't had it first yet. Oh, still writing, scribing.
That was very interesting. My feedback to you would be, it looks like you did your slides in about 10 minutes. Your Excel, you know, your graph there, I mean, it was very amateurish. So you should just polish that. I mean, I like the fact that you had relatively few things on the slides. And you know, the black font on white made it somewhat easy to read, but your slides don't match the quality of your presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Marie. I echo what Malcolm did say about the presentation, which is very crucial. Again, remembering that if people are going to give you money, they're really giving it to you. I'm not sure I just did some Googling on, you know, Power Station, and there's one available on Wayfair for $193 delivered to my house. So I like the fact that you have something there to physically see, but there is other stuff out there, and it was called, it wasn't one of the ones that you mentioned up there. Also, this Hitesh, you mentioned that he's coming part-time, taking time off his work. Does that mean he's a full-time employee? Because you're trying to sell 1,000 units, and I'm not sure if you have the sales strategy and the go-to-market strategy ready. So personally, I don't really think you're ready to go to market. I think you have a lot of work still to do. Hitesh, also your team, you just mentioned what they do, but you didn't give any credentials what qualifies them to do what they do. So you do what you do best, you hire the rest, or you get people to help you with the rest. Okay? So that's really that's what I have for now.
Hi, Marie. I think you probably have some data from your current online customers. I think I would use the segmentation of those customers and maybe provide a little bit more kind of meat, if you know what I mean, to the presentation, because then you can sort of speak to, you did it verbally, you spoke to sort of who they are, but it would be great to have, you know, some kind of graphic representation to say, we've sold this many units, this is exactly what we know about our consumers who are buying online, and then use that information to sort of extrapolate what your go-to-market strategy is going to be, how you're going to get to those same people on a much bigger scale.
Marie, thank you. I would echo what the advisor said when it comes to the quality of the presentation. You speak very well, you have a good presence. You just need to make your slides look the same.
All right, thanks, advisors. Any questions for Marie?
Hi. So I absolutely love your product. If it does what it does, it's a really good consumer product. I think that you are going to the market in very wrong way, because it's an excellent consumer product, and there's Best Buy, there's IKEA, there's so many stores, and you had one of those, forgot the name, interested in your product, loving the product, going after the really massive market. And I don't believe that you need your 250,000, because if you get order for 100,000 units, you're gonna go to any freaking bank and they're gonna give you money on the spot. So rethink this. Again, it is after hearing 10 minutes of presentation, so I don't know all the details, but you're going to market could be much more exciting that you are trying to do it right now, and much more scalable if the product does what it does, potentially differentiating 3 different price points, different capabilities of each tower or of each dock, and hitting different segments within consumer market.
Okay, that's great. We haven't considered that model, doing it that way, but we'll definitely rethink that. That's great. Thank you.
Okay, got a couple more questions.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the defensibility of your product. What's stopping somebody from saying, oh, this is a great idea, I already have connections in China, I'm going to go print, and I have connections at Best Buy or whatever. And then in a couple months, they go and they build the same thing.
Absolutely. So we're patent pending, but in this area, it's very hard to get a patent, but really, it's very large. So you're going to have to make an investment in it. Also, it is expensive to produce because of what it has. Each of these coils is quite expensive. The Qualcomm, the Snapdragon chips, those are very expensive. So anybody who does want to knock it off is going to have to make a very big investment. So that's a great point, and we have thought about it, and hopefully we do have production, but it is first to market, really.
I think it's really an impressive thing. I think in terms of when you're pitching it to your potential market, to focus also on the adaptability. You know, Apple's changing their connection every time they come up with a new device now. You have to buy the new chargers all the time. So I think maybe talk about how the wireless piece will address that functionality, so you're not always caught up with, I mean, I have a drawer full of old chargers that don't run anything anymore. I do that. And then it seems to me ideal unit for shopping channels, both in Canada and the US. That's where you would get large orders. Your margins would be low, but it gets your name out there right away.
Thank you so much.
So great presentation. When I put my phone when the station was out there, it didn't charge because there was some sort of chip that was not in my phone that is supposed to be. Can you elaborate on what that technology is, and if that doesn't work, then do people have to buy an external
Correct.
device?
So most of the newer phones are inserted into your phone. So once you do put your phone, just put it on there, it will charge. Those are found anywhere, but like I said, the newer models do have that. And that's why we've also done the Qualcomm Smart Charging 3.0 and the 2.0, we mixed in because not everything is compatible with 3.0. Your device has to be compatible and activated by the company. So if the 2.0 is active with most devices right now, 3.0 is still limited, and 4.0, which is still in theory but coming out, is even fewer devices are compatible with it. So we stuck with that for now.
So what's the price range for that external port or whatever that is?
A few dollars, $5, $10 for the receiver that you can just attach to your phone, and it can even go under your cover and still charge on the tower.
Thank you.
Option. If you could sell this, and then, if you have an older phone, why don't you buy one of our DockMe dingles or whatever they're called, and then perhaps when you get further down the road, it'd be cool if you can have 2 laptop docks, or maybe get rid of the 2.0 and just because everybody's got a 3.0 now in the family, and then do it that way.
Definitely something to keep in mind. Thank you so much.
I want to just give you a comment, or it's not really a question, but I guess it is kind of a question. Have you done stability testing on that? Because my cat would use that to look at the window for sure. And then all my gear tips over. So
that is true. So the base is heavy. That's another reason why we have a non-slip feature on the shelves, to make sure your devices stay on the shelves. In terms of if you do have pets, then you don't want to keep it on its own. You want to keep it maybe beside a table, so they're less likely to jump on it. But that's definitely something you'll need to think about in your own home.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions?
So if I order 10,000, how long would it take you to ship them?
10,000, that'll be 3 months for the whole 10,000. It's about 3,000 a month, but since we're not manufacturing now, it's going to take about 6 months, because we have to do the full certification, we have to do the molds, that takes time. So you'd be looking at closer to 8 months for the whole shipment. And yes.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. That's a long time.
Hey, Maria, I would love to hear more about the customer side, because you mentioned that there's a lot of intent. What really perks is having something to back it up, that you have a letter of intent from Costco to buy X and Y and Z. But I would spend more time on how you're going to get there. Back to the earlier advice, which was, here's where I am, here's where I want to go. But again, how are you going to get there? To sell 1,000 units, it's not as easy as somebody saying, just here's 1,000 units shipped to me.
Oh, I forgot to mention, so the customer acquisition was also the business model. So those companies like Evanzi, Touch of Modern, they're ready for us to ship products to them. Touch of Modern was ready to have us sell in his shop. When I was there taking pictures of the tower beside his furniture, people wanted to buy it right then and there. But we're not producing yet.
And as Malcolm just pointed out, it would be great to have some math on the cost of building it. You keep mentioning 3,000. Obviously, that's probably your MOQ, your minimum order quantity that you have to bring in from China, I would imagine.
1,000. We negotiate down
to
1,000.
So that's your MOQ, right?
Correct.
Right. And what happens if you don't get the orders, but you've taken orders? Let's say you can only get 700 and you don't get that 1,000. Do you cancel the 700?
In terms of, if I get an order of 700.
The MOQ is 1,000, right?
Correct,
to put the order in for
Correct.
them to manufacture. What if you don't get it? What if you don't make that number? Do you still deliver the people that have been waiting for 3 months? Because if I've been waiting for 3 months...
For the Kickstarter campaign you're talking, or just in general, just anybody?
I'm sorry, Jeffrey?
No, so if we hit the target, that's the only time that we'll go into production. So if you don't hit the target, everything is canceled, nobody's charged.
But that's what I'm saying. So if I'm Costco and you approach me, but I'm only giving you an order for 500 and I've been waiting, you can be in a position if you don't get the units that you're not going to fulfill that request, right? The order, the purchase order. Because you need X amount of units to make the product.
Correct, but that's what we're covered for the minimum order. We understand the financing for the minimum order, the pricing for that.
Okay, well, I'm just saying you may want to share that in your slides so that there's a better understanding on turnaround. For example, you mentioned 1,000 or 10,000 units.
1,000 units for 150,000, which would cover the minimum order, the certification, the molds. So for the second 1,000 number of units, we wouldn't have the extra cost of the certification of molds. So now the profit margin is much larger. 2 in year 3.
I guess I just want to I apologize if I'm not being clear. The math really matters. The economics really matter. The customers really matter. Having, testimonials that we're waiting on an order 500 from Costco, whatever that is, that really matters. They look for international appeal, they look for momentum, and they look for making sure the jockey and the team are there, amongst other things, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's give Maria a round of applause.
Okay, so that was our last presentation.
It was.
And thank you very much for joining us. Patrick, you did a fantastic.
You got it, man.
You're natural.
What's that?
You're natural. Okay, so now we have a tradition that is, we like to remember this moment with a picture. So if I can have everyone stand up and come and join me here, we're gonna have kind of like a selfie without being a selfie. Come join me, everyone here. It's gonna groupie,
it's a groupie, yeah.
There you go, Gregory. There you go. So we're all gonna be facing that way. Bring the docking station. bring the docking station. Yeah, why not?
Let's all stand on it.
There you go. Put it right there. Okay. So, at the count of 3, everyone say cheese. Okay, let's scoop. Yeah? Okay. Let's squeeze a little bit more. Okay, so more. 1, 2, 3. Say cheese. Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. So let's enjoy the networking part.